Coming up on the I'm a Car Chick podcast with guest Matthias Stoever.
Biggest mistake that you can think of is training as like something that you just outsource and that you don't have to do yourself. You don't have to hold your people accountable. But it still starts at every store with somebody saying that, giving them the skills that this is a number one priority for everybody in the leadership role. Dealers who disagree with that or who don't make it a priority, I think they will struggle with their staff. They will struggle also with a tool like ours. I think more than 50% of the staff in all dealerships is now born after 1980. So that means people have grown up with the internet, have grown up with smartphones, and it probably has impacted how our brain works. So it's not a bad thing. It's just like a fact that we have to accept, and I think we need to use that to train.
Revving up the auto industry, one conversation at a time. Featuring industry leaders, auto experts, and trailblazers. We are bringing you unfiltered interviews highlighting the voices all around the industry. Let's cut through the noise. Join us. Let's light it up together. Hosted by Shasta Haddock. This is I'm a Car Chick podcast.
Welcome back to another I'm a Car Chick podcast episode, and that's the fourth time today that I've now messed up the name of my own podcast. It's fine. We're rolling with it because we're live here at NADA, and you know what? When you roll live, sometimes that happens. So I am very excited to bring to you guys today someone who is making some real waves in the industry. This is Matthias Stoever of Rockhead. You are the co-founder and CEO.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It is your first time on the show, which means that we get to talk about all the exciting things that that you guys have going on at Rockhead. Obviously, a big name in the industry, one that I've heard so much in the last year. So you guys are definitely making waves, doing great things.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some things that you know what? Just tell us about you first, about you and being a part of co-founding Rockhead, and what led this to the industry.
Yeah, so I, as you can tell, probably I still have a bit of an accent. I was born and raised in Germany. Started my journey in the car industry, actually in car rental. I worked for a German car rental company called Six Rent-A-Car. Mm-hmm. And through that, I also went on one date with a girl from Pittsburgh. Next thing you know, you live in the U.S. And then we started Rockhead about 5 years ago and brought different things together that had all to do with the automotive industry, with learning and development and upskilling people in this industry, and also with software development. And that's what we've been molding the company and our product around.
That's awesome. I love that you came from Germany to the U.S. and it was all for love. And that's, I feel like, always the best reason to move countries. But, you know, there's other reasons. You've built enterprise software and now focus on frontline enablement. What do you see the biggest gap between what dealerships train on and what actually drives performance?
Well, I think if you look at every dollar of revenue in this industry is touched by 3, 4, sometimes 5 or 6 people that ultimately make that happen. Whether that it's in sales and F&I and service, right? There's multiple people in the dealership that need to work and need to do their job to generate a dollar of revenue for the dealer, for the OEM, for every partner in the business. And I think sometimes in this industry, you forget a little bit how many people are involved and how also complex this business is. From understanding the technology, understanding all the software behind it, understanding the compliance around it. Right, it's a very expensive asset, and that's really what we build our business around, to help all these people who are involved in generating revenue in this business, to help them just be better at their job. And we try to do this in a very easy and casual way, and that's what the product is. Yeah,
for sure. Well, and you said something, you know, sometimes we forget how many people are in this industry, and we look at an event like this, like NADA, that brings in, I think we're somewhere between 30 and 40,000 people or something like that. And that's just a fraction of the people who contribute to the automotive industry worldwide, let alone in the U.S. Someone said yesterday that in the United States, 1 in every 4 people either work for or are directly related to somebody who works for the automotive industry in some way, shape, or form. And that number alone just goes to show how important this industry is and its forward movement is. And the only way that we move forward is by continuing to train and be better and learn the next thing and be a part of that. So I think the work that you're doing is very important. And training is something that dealers say they value, but execution tells a different story. Where does training usually break down first?
I think typically, what we're trying to do is that to think of training less of an event and more as something that's a culture and that's more consistent. So I think everybody in this industry wants to do training, but sometimes it's too much of we do one day of training and then we think that this fixes our entire year. I think what the product that we build and how we think of training is that training is like it is for every professional sports person, for every sports person. It's probably the best analogy, that it is like a continuous everyday activity, and you can't skip training. And right, everybody in this business is a professional, so also why would you want to skip and not train every day? It's like going to the gym.
Exactly.
You've got to go every day to see a result.
Exactly. From your perspective, what's the real cost of inconsistent onboarding across departments or rooftops?
I think the best stat is like the turnover that you have in this industry, right? So there's about...
This special NADA 2026 episode is sponsored by Authenticom. Authenticom. Connect once, we handle the rest.
1 to 1.5 million people in this industry. You have a roughly 50% turnover across all the positions. So that means that there's 80,000 people who change a job in this industry every month. And you might be looking to your left, to your right, and it's probably very uncertain if that person is still with your dealership next year. And I think that just drives a lot of costs for everybody in this industry. And I also don't think it's, first and foremost, it's not a great experience for an employee. I think everybody starts in this industry, wants to have success and wants to succeed. And if for some reason you're changing your job, something hasn't worked out. And a big part of that sometimes is a lack of training and coaching and a lack of being able to perform in the role that you're in.
Exactly. Well, I mean, self-confidence is such a driver, especially in a high ego world like this. And so
you've got to be confident.
The things that we can do to protect that and enforce that is absolutely important. Now, you've worked in global product environments. What do automotive leaders underestimate about how adults actually learn and retain information?
I mean, if you look at, I think more than 50% of the staff in all dealerships is now born after 1980. So that means people have grown up with the internet, have grown up with smartphones, and this has been the primary form of education for everyone. And it's been games, it's been phones, it's social media. That's just how everyone, including myself, has just for better or worse, spend a lot of time on. And it's, I would say, it probably has impacted how our brain works. So. Yeah. And I think that is also something. It's not a bad thing. It's just like a fact that we have to accept, and I think we need to use that to train. And best thing is social media, right? Short form content, that is something that works for a lot of people well. And on the other hand, you have formats like this, which is long form content. Right?
Exactly.
Like there are podcasts that go 2-3 hours, and a lot of them are also educational. And I think you got to double down when it comes to training on the formats and the experiences that people have made before they entered your store, before they entered this industry, and that they're also doing all day, every day outside of work.
Yeah. And that's a perfect segue into my next question. Technology has made training easier to deploy, but not always more effective. What's this biggest mistake that dealers make with modern learning tools? Kind of the caveat to what we were just talking about.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest mistake that you can think of is training as like something that you just outsource and that you don't have to do yourself. You don't have to hold your people accountable. There's great tools out there for training. Hopefully people think of us as one of them, but it still starts at every store with somebody saying that developing my employees and training them and coaching them and giving them the skills, that this is a number one priority for everybody in the leadership role. And if that's the fact, I think then we can be a great partner for our stores. Dealers who disagree with that or who don't make it a priority, I think they will struggle they will struggle with their staff. They will struggle also with a tool like ours.
Yeah. Well, and I remember talking this time last year at NADA 25 in New Orleans. I remember talking to a woman who worked in a dealership, and her number one job, the only job she had was as they brought on new technologies or new softwares, her job was just to ensure that every single person had the training, had the coaching, knew it forward and backward. And she said their retention had doubled since they had started that department. They weren't losing vendors anywhere near as much. And so just having something as simple as that their sole job is just teaching, training, coaching, onboarding is,
No, and I agree, and I think that's also what there's a lot of leaders in this industry who grew up through the ranks and who really know how to do the job, and sometimes it's very easy to just go back to that and be an individual contributor and just work harder than anybody else and hold the store together and work deals yourself and talk to customers. But I think it is much easier. You have average stores like 60, 70 people in the store. If you just make each one of them 1% better, that's a lot. That makes the entire store more effective, makes the entire team better, is good for the culture, instead of a leader just grinding it out by themselves. So I think it's actually, it saves time for a leader if you take the time to invest into your team. It's going to come back over time and pay its dividends.
Yeah, for sure. As dealer groups scale, which we were kind of just talking about, what people or knowledge gaps get exposed the fastest?
Thanks to Authenticom for supporting the I'm a Car Chick podcast. Authenticom. Control your data.
I think it's like, right, this industry is changing
Rapidly.
all day, every day. So I think with everything that's happening, it exposes another knowledge gap, right? So when we started the company 5 years ago, no one would talk about like a knowledge gap with AI tools.
Yeah.
And I think that's just something that I think I saw happening in the past 12 months. Affordability and how to handle this was not a topic 2-3 years ago. Now it's absolutely a hot topic for us. Fuel absorption rates and fixed stops were not a focus, or not as much of a focus a couple of years ago. Now they are today. So I think with everything that happens, like that always exposes an area where you have to be good at, and it's probably a muscle that you haven't trained or didn't have to train for a while. So I think it's just the nature of the business that exposes those gaps.
That's true. Where do you see training culture and performance intersect most clearly in high-performing organizations?
I think it's really like, think of it as a professional sports team, right? I would say those are the most, the highest performing organizations. If you think of, right, we're just a few days away from the Super Bowl. Like, if you think of a sports team as a high performing organization or a Formula One race car, those organizations, I think, if you mimic them and their training and how they're constantly reviewing their processes and train, this is also what a high-performing dealership does, is to constantly review and train and practice the things that you're doing. Because yes, for professional sports and the car business is sometimes a repetitive business, right? It's the same processes, the same steps that you have to be good at over and over again, and that's what you have to train for.
Yeah, 100%. If you could give one piece of advice to dealers trying to build smarter, more adaptable teams, what should they focus on first?
I mean, it all starts with hiring. I think that is where you just got to have you got to have your process down in where you hire from, what you're looking for, what the skills are that your team has, and like what the skills are that you're looking for. And I think if you have your hiring process in place, then you can start developing your team from there.
What's something that we didn't talk about that you want to make sure people know?
I think maybe like one thing that we're doing at Rocket is also to flip the script a little and to show people like the value of training by actually showing people like the ROI, like what it does what it does for you, for your own paycheck if you train well. So that's what we've also been working on, to bring leaderboards and topic for advisors and salespeople into our app, because one dealer said that sometimes words can't describe how much training somebody in the dealership needs, but a ranking always can.
Yeah.
And that's also what we're doing, like to help people understand their own performance, show them where they have gaps and opportunities, and then use that as something where you can train towards to close those gaps.
Now, this is a question I truly don't know the answer, and I hope I'm not setting you up wrong. If a salesperson learns about you guys, but for whatever reason can't get their dealership to sign up, do you have individual programs where a salesperson can just sign up on their own?
Well, everybody can download our app, and you get access to a freemium version, so you can always play around with it. And there's some content available. And then I think if you help us convince your dealership, like we'll get you and the entire team to set up. There's no no B2C product that you can pay us for, but it's even better. Like you can download a free version of the app.
That's awesome.
And get started.
I love free content.
Yeah.
What's the best way to learn more about RockEd or to connect with you or get a demo?
go on our website, rocket.us. Rocket is spelled ROCKED. Actually, a little word joke around rockets and education. So start on our website. We're doing a great job there, I hope, to
Download the app.
what we're doing. So that's where you find the information the fastest, and then maybe download the app, play around with it, and then you'll know where to find us on LinkedIn, on all kinds of social, on our website, and then we'd love to explain you more what we can do for an NTI dealership or a group of dealerships.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I love Rocket. It's something, like I said, that I've heard so much about in the past year. I've heard nothing but great things about you guys. So I love the opportunity to always get to sit down with a member of your team and talk about the amazing platform that you guys have.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And we'll keep making some dealership dreams come through training.
I love that. Guys, be sure to check out Rocked. Download the app. Check them out. Rocked.us, ROCKED.us. Check them out online. Be sure to follow them online. I know that they do quite a bit of posting, so check them out. See what they're all about, and get some training in your team, because why not? Right? Why not? And we'll see you next time on the I'm a Car Chick podcast. I was so afraid of screwing that up again. The last 4 times I've seen it.